Cryptocurrency is down, but a down market is when you buy. You see here right now that Bitcoin is attempting to break down, and we are hitting the lowest levels for Bitcoin all the way since back here. So this is pretty much the lowest price that we've seen for Bitcoin in 2 months. And as you can see right here, we are starting to break this downward sloping trend, which is what everyone is really concerned about. You can see right here, we're clearly losing it now. I was pointing out the other day that everyone is looking at this, though, on a logarithmic scale. So as you can see right here, this is logarithmic. But if we do drop it down to just a linear, you see the difference right here? You'll actually notice that if we zoom in, okay, and we switch it over here, that we're actually sitting directly on the level, right? So you could actually say that linear is sort of better for short-term price action. So we are really, really sitting on the edge of the cliff right now. And basically what happens within the next 24 to 48 hours is going to have a big impact on Bitcoin. Also, don't forget that Friday, we do have the SEC potentially grayscale situation coming out as well, right? Now, if we do just kind of have a look at what we're forming right here, we're actually still forming. Before it looked a little bit more like a flag. Now it's looking a little bit more like a wedge, right? But a falling wedge pattern, technically after a move like this, is a bullish pattern. But the question is, if we do continue to have the S&P falling down, well, then is Bitcoin just going to follow? Because you could see that, unfortunately, there is still that correlation. When we have the S&P down around 4.5%, we have Bitcoin down about from top to where we are right now, 10%. So it's almost double what the S&P is doing. And unfortunately, we are still in that arena where a lot of people do consider crypto and Bitcoin to still sort of be tech. So they treat it like tech, right? I do believe that we are slowly shifting gears from that narrative. And, again, if everybody's still worried about this Michael Burry prediction, just to have a look right here. Yes, Michael Burry did get one very, very crazy good lottery ticket, as some are saying. He had a movie made about him. But I mean, look at all these other things that he's actually predicted wrong. Crash coming 2015. Okay, a little dip, boom, keep going. Global financial meltdown, September 2019, bubble in index ETFs. Then we did have the, crazy COVID crash, reveals massive bearish bet, boom, instant recovery. So as you guys can see, a broken clock is right twice a day. If you keep screaming for the price to go down, eventually the price will probably go down. But what's really probably having more effect on the situation is that we have the DXY chopping sideways, but we were all the way down at around 99.5, and now we're back up to around 103. So we did have a little bit of a rebound on the dollar. However, I do believe that the dollar, as you can see, is putting in a very clear downtrend. And every single time we put in lower highs and we've put in lower lows for the dollar. So I don't have much hope for that. But obviously, in these short-term movements, you do see the inverse when it comes to things like Bitcoin and stocks. Now, the crazy thing going on with Bitcoin right now is that we are literally at its lowest traded volume in history, or at least since we've started keeping record. And every single time we've ever seen Bitcoin get to this crazy tight, low volatility, Bollinger Bands at the tightest levels ever, we know that we could be looking for a move. Now, I still anticipate a possible fake out, but I wouldn't fade the move. In other words, after you tighten this long, if you do have a break to the downside, there is actually a more likelihood that we will continue going to the downside, at least in the short term. So if we have a very violent move to the downside, there's a good chance that we may continue moving to the downside, let's say for another week. But again, the trend is your friend, because I'm going to show you something amazing in just a minute. But you can see that we are falling down here on futures. And the next area, which I know I sound like a broken record, but again, we're looking at around that $23,500 level, because that is a level of severe interest. We had this Terra Luna crash right here. We tried it to break back up. We couldn't. We came all the way down here, put in a nice double bottom, came all the way back up, boom, couldn't break it again. Fake out, got above it, and then it acted as support, right? But we've tested it as resistance twice and only support once, not counting the original Terra Luna, wick, because I don't really think that number had any real meaning. I think it was just the price was just slipping and it was going really crazy. And obviously, we have a bit of a conundrum because we have a potential death cross forming right here, possibly. But at the same time, we also have a possible golden cross forming. So the end of the year is going to be very, very interesting when it comes to this. And again, you don't want to fall below that level, because we do have the, for example, the $27,500 area is this 200 weekly moving average, which generally tends to support it. And considering we are back above it, I'm not sure if we're going to get those crazy low levels. I still think 25.3 is possible, but we have to see what happens with these moving averages, because if you're going to take this and just simply look at the volume profile, well, then I hate to break it to you, the next level is even lower than that. It's down at around 23. But again, guys, there is massive interest, massive accumulation, extreme interest at the $20,000 level. So we've always said, yes, there could be this sort of worst case scenario, where we're following this trend right here, maybe something like that or like this. And, we come all the way down and retest this line. But ultimately, I still believe that we are going up. Now, here's something very, very insane I wanted to show you guys. So this is a very simple chart, one line, not trying to make it complicated. A 5-year-old could understand this. But this is a legacy logarithmic trend for Bitcoin. And in a nutshell, basically, you could see any time that we get below this trend is a phenomenal opportunity to accumulate Bitcoin, right? Right here, and we're there again. And you could see that, generally speaking, when we break this long-term legacy trend, we go on a massive run. I mean, you could see just every single time we break it, right? We broke it right here, 546%, right? We broke it right here, 1,544%. We broke it right here, 1,000%, okay? And we haven't yet broken it just yet. But if we were to go straight up, that level would be around 37,280, which is very interesting because that is also one of our targets that we've been looking for. So again, even though it might be doom and gloom, yes, it could go lower, but even so, you could see that, yes, it did fall under, but from bottom to top, just buying here before it broke, you still had a 600%, increase. So even from now, so far, from bottom to top, we've been up 120%. So you could see again how history does not exactly repeat, but it does rhyme. It is similar. It is not exact. But I will tell you one thing right now. If we have a look at what's going on in Argentina, look at what happened to the Argentine peso, to Bitcoin, absolutely skyrocketing. Now, why did this happen? Well, we announced, as you could see, far-right libertarian wins Argentina's presidential primary. Javier Milei, who wants to abolish the central bank and adopt the U.S. dollar as Argentina's currency, is now the frontrunner in the fall general election. And I got to
admit, I love seeing this type of content coming out from politicians.
Ministerio de Ambiente y Desarrollo Sostenible, afuera. Ministerio de las Mujeres y Género y Diversidad, afuera. Ministerio de Obras Públicas, afuera. Aunque te resistas. Vamos a seguir por acá. Ministerio de Ciencia y Tecnología e Innovación, algo bien del sector privado. Nada bueno salió del sector público, afuera. Ministerio de Trabajo, Empleo y Seguridad Social, afuera. Ministerio de Educación, adoctrinamiento, afuera. Ministerio de Transporte, afuera. Ministerio de Salud, afuera. Ministerio de Desarrollo Social, afuera. ¿Cómo queda el Estado? Ministerio de Capital Humano, Ministerio de Infraestructura, Ministerio de Economía, Ministerio de Justicia, Ministerio de Seguridad, Ministerio de Defensa, Ministerio de Relaciones Exteriores y Ministerio del Interior. Se acabó el curro de la política. ¡Viva la libertad, carajo!
Other crazy factors to consider. For example, everything that's going on right now. I mean, let's be honest, the Fed has been intentionally trying to basically break something, destroy something. And you've been seeing a lot of these videos all over TikTok about people saying it's really difficult to pretty much survive right now in these current conditions. Here's just one, for example, from a mom who actually is sticking up for Gen Z. Teaching that I learned, which is you work hard, you get a good job, you're going to get the things in life that you need. Right? Worked for me. Why would it work for them? Because it doesn't. Because the world has fucking changed. All right? And now I feel like I see them struggling. And before my generation comes at me, yes, I understand struggling is a part of life. We all struggled. But there's a difference between struggling and drowning. All right? So we struggled and it was tough. But you know what? We made it. We knew there was a light at the end of the tunnel with our struggle. It seems like kids today, no matter how much they struggle, they just get further and further down the water into the When I was their age, I was making less than $10 an hour, and I can afford to live on my own. Now you have to be making 6-figure salary to get a decent, tiny little place to live. So what the fuck is going on, and how do we help them as parents? I told my son, all you have to do is work hard, go to college, join the military like I did. He went to college, got his degree, got a full-time job. He moved back in with me right when he graduated from college because he said, hey, Mom, as soon as I get a job, which was within 2 weeks of him getting out of college, Maybe take me 2 months and I'll save up enough money for me to move out. Okay, cool. It's been 10 months. He has saved almost every dime and still can't afford to live. Why are one-bedroom studio apartments almost $2,000 a month? Why? Like, I just don't get it. So I don't even think that there's even classes anymore. There used to be, upper class, middle class, lower class. It's literally turning into the ultra wealthy and then everybody else is just poor. Like, that's what is happening. And then I told him, hey, when you turn 25, at least your car insurance will go down. Hell no, he turned 25 and his car insurance went up $150. I told him, if you need health insurance, get a good job. He did, has health insurance. He has had a medical emergency this week. Had to go to emergency room twice. He had to go to the emergency room because he couldn't get anybody to see him with the health insurance that he had, right? So he had to go to an emergency room. Now he's out money for that too. It seems like you can never get ahead. And then my daughter, I told her all you have to do because she wanted to buy her own house. My daughter worked 6 days a week, 12 hours a day to save up enough for this down payment. Finally got this house. She's paying double what I'm paying for my mortgage, but her loan was the same amount. And then her mortgage company, after she's already moved in, said, oh, by the way, we forgot to tell you that you need this type of coverage, which we forgot in the beginning. That's an extra $200 you've been paying a month. 100K Bitcoin, saying for years, gold and silver, God's money, Bitcoin, people's money. Bad news if stock and bond market crash, gold and silver skyrocket. Worse news if world economy crashes, Bitcoin goes to 1 million, gold to 75K, silver to 60. Savers of fake US dollars are effed, debt too high, mom, pop, and kids in trouble. Hope I'm wrong. Please take care. Now, I don't know about the whole world economy. I'm not like rooting for it. There's a lot of doom and gloomers that do root for stuff. But again, we've been talking about this ETF for quite some time, and I know a lot of people are kind of getting blue in the face here, but like Mitchell Hoddle pointed out, what no one is mentioning about the spot Bitcoin ETF is the ego of traditional finance. Every banker, family office is going to have serious unit bias. They'll want at least one whole Bitcoin, but there aren't enough for everyone. They'll bid Bitcoin up so fast, it's not even funny. And, I think right now it's estimated there's 55 million millionaires or something like that in the world. So that's not even enough for each one of them to own one Bitcoin. Like Tom Lee from Fundstrat actually broke it down. If you look at the amount that's available, which we're seeing some of the lowest levels on exchanges of all time, that could actually surge the price even higher. I always like hearing your price targets because you are so fearless. Where are you on Bitcoin by the end of next year, let's say? Well, if the spot Bitcoin gets approved, yes, I think the demand will be greater than the daily supply of Bitcoin. And so the clearing price, this is done by Sean Farrell, who's our crypto digital strategist, is over 150,000. It could even be like 180,000. But that's only if the spot, only if the ETF gets approved. In a U.S., a spot U.S., because a spot Bitcoin ETF is approved outside U.S. Okay. But if it's not approved, then are we just lingering around 29,000? There's still upside case because the halving next year. So you'll have a drop in supply again. So the clearing price has to increase, but it won't be 6 figures. So ending on some good news, we do have Coinbase granted permission to offer Bitcoin and Ethereum futures in the U.S., so that is actually pretty freaking cool. We also have Ledger announcing U.S. PayPal integration, letting users buy crypto from within the app. So through the integration, verified PayPal users in the U.S. can buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, Y, and Litecoin directly through Ledger Live. So that is the good news for today. We put out one video every day, keeping you informed. See you tomorrow.